During the summer of last year, I was introduced to a very strange YouTube channel by one of my friends, which of the contents are even stranger. Most of the things that you would see in this channel consisted of surgical tools, neon green gloves, many of food items, as well as this.
Hello, this is RunForTheCube. Today we have a G-Line B-Line Pete Rat Gumai Kandai.
This channel is called RunForTheCube, and it is something. RunForTheCube was introduced to me during the summer on a camping trip with my grandparents, my sister, and my cousin. I was on my phone late one night when my friend suddenly sent me a text with a very ominous link, just saying something along the lines of, "Have you seen this before? It is an inside joke between both of my friends, and I swear I have never seen anyone talk about it." RunForTheCube is, as far as I can tell, a kids channel that has been online since 2009. On YouTube with around 300,000 subscribers, and specializes in travel vlogs, candy, toy unpackaging, and of course,
Today we have a G-Line B-Line Pete Rat Gumai Kandai.
I'm sure some of you have seen the video Jelly Belly Pet Rat Gummy Candy, which was somewhat a viral meme of a man unpackaging and dissecting a gummy rat while speaking in a creepily peppy and Simlish reminiscent voice. Now, if you're anyone like me, you would immediately watch this and ask yourself, what is this channel? Because even though it could, of course, just be any other weird children's channel on YouTube, it could also be something else, and something far weirder, and something far deeper. Sorry if you hear clanging in the background. Something far weirder than what was on the surface, which is already extremely weird. And it immediately sent me down a rabbit hole, which I did not ever expect. So, follow along with me to this very, very wild ride. To start, when you click on the description of his videos, there's a lot to take in. A fun fact, he actually has transcripts for all of his videos at the bottom of the description, so if you ever get confused on what he's trying to say in the videos, just go there. But when you open the description of his videos, you see so many links, and he has links to everything. Buying products previously used in his videos, get your name pronounced by him. He has Amazon links for everything. Everything he uses to make his videos, and I mean everything. Mirrorless camera, portable 4K camera, microphone shock mount, microphone phone stand, SSD external drive, tripod head, mobile phone tripod, you get the idea. He even has links to starting your own channel, business website, traveling resources, everything. Sidetracking, but it is nice to see a YouTuber actually tell you how they do it, how they produce their videos, so you don't have to go and ask them, around everything's alright. Equipment, editing, software, everything. It's very admirable, even if it's just a whole business thing. He does say he's an Amazon associate in his disclaimer for his descriptions, but it's still nice to see though. Like, whenever I watch YouTube videos, I do often wonder, what are they using? So it is nice to see, even if it's just for business, you know? Anyways, let's continue. Getting back on track, there is one service of links that truly catches my interest. He makes music. Yes, music. Specifically covers, and it's exactly what you'd think it sounds like.
I see unlikely Silowito love a man. Scaramucci, while you do the fandango. Soon to Bolton light line, be right, fright line me.
It's something. But you may be asking yourself, why? Why does he talk like this? Why does he make that all of his brand? Well, that's because he's a linguistics expert. That That may come as a shock if you are familiar with his content. When I started Googling him, I found some shocking things about Run for the Cube, so let's break down this story of this man. To start, Run for the Cube's real name is Sanjeev. I put real name in quotes because on the website it says his full name is Sanjeev Cube. It's probable that his first real name, is in fact Sanjeev. But take that and everything in his story with a grain of salt. While I was reading about him on his website, I couldn't tell if it was a real backstory or just some lore he made up. Either way, we will be discussing it in length. So, before we continue, I would just like to warn you that this isn't going to be just some quick go over, like a quick rundown of the plot. I mean, I am going into detail on almost every paragraph. Like, I'm not reading it word for word, but I am paraphrasing it. So this is basically like story time. Like I'm grabbing a book and I'm like reading you. So just be prepared for the long haul. But it gets crazy, okay? Like this will go places that you didn't expect it to. So just buckle down, grab a snack, grab some water. I need to grab some water. Hold on. Okay. I do have to give a disclaimer. When I was writing the rest of the script, I started this script last year and then I stopped because I didn't know where I was going to go with this. So the rest of this, I wrote today. I wrote this today. I wrote it while reading his website. So it's a bit messy. There's a lot of unnecessary details here, but I put them in because I felt like they were necessary. And there were just a lot of details, and I didn't know which ones I should keep in and leave out. So if it sounds really weird and chunky and just not good, that's why. Because I didn't know what was important and what wasn't. And to be honest, I still don't know what I should leave in and what I should leave out. So, let's dive into the insane lore of Run for the Cube of all channels. Also, another disclaimer, I'm probably going to be pronouncing a lot of words wrong because I don't know how to pronounce a lot of these words. There's a lot of Indian and Russian words in here, so just keep that in mind if I'm saying it wrong. Please forgive me. Just kindly let me know. Thank you. Okay, continuing. Sanjeev Cube is from Surat, India. Ever since a young age, he's loved puppet theater and was very talented in it, with singing, dancing, etc. So much so that he got to travel as a child performer. But with what comes for being a child star also brings a lack of education and friends. A lonely boy. But his home life wasn't any better. Just living below the poverty line and an unpredictable and scary father kept Sanjeev always stressed. Next I'm going to read a word-for-word paragraph from his biography. So just be prepared. There's like themes of child abuse, but also just like the ways this is phrased, just it's weird, and I just want to make sure that I'm not the only person who thinks this is weird. Alright. One night Sanjeev awoke in the middle of the night with hunger pains, so he snuck out of his bed and tiptoed to the fridge to drink a glass of milk. He emptied the whole bottle and put the empty bottle of milk back in the fridge. Early the next morning, Daddy woke and the whole household by yelling at the top of his lungs and trying to figure out who drank the milk. And he put the empty bottle back. Daddy smelled milk on Sanjeev's lips and gave him a lashing. Again, as horrible as the situation is, I just smelling the milk on his lips, I don't know, that just I apologize very much, Sanjeev, for finding humor in this. This is not your fault. And if that actually happened, I am terribly sorry. But that phrasing just feels really awkward. Anyways, I am very sorry. I will continue. You can see how tense the situation was. One day, Sanjeev gets to play Aladdin, one of his biggest roles yet, and everyone he knew was going to see his big performance. But that's when disaster struck. He went on stage and realized he couldn't remember any of his lines. The crowd fell silent, and among the crowd was Daddy, who looked angriest as he ever was. Sanjeev ran off the stage, tears in his eyes, and when he was ready to face his family, they were gone. They abandoned him. They abandoned him because he couldn't remember his lines. Tragic backstory counter number 2, I think, already. Alright, cool, let's keep going. With nowhere to turn, with no belongings, no passport, no ID, no money, no nothing, he decides to hop on a train and leave India, tears in his eyes. It seemed while he snuck onto the train, full of goods, fruits, vegetables, milk, all that kind of stuff, he also found a little friend. Because among all this produce, he seemed to found a friend. A mouse. Next thing he knows, he's in Russia, and the train he hopped on in particular was, like I said, a food shipping truck. So when the Russians he spotted... I'm stumbling so much, I'm sorry. I haven't filmed a video in forever. Gah! Okay. Continuing. Sorry. Gah! The next thing he knows, he's in Russia. The train he hopped on in particular, as I said, was a food shipping truck. So when the Russians spotted him, they just thought it was an employee the way he acted and dressed. Dressed in a white lab coat, or at least lab looking. It was never entirely explained if it was a lab coat or just lab looking, but either way. He was dressed very fancy and had a very peppy, happy to work attitude. For a while he lived like this, train hopping, eating stock, and then shipping it and heading back, until one day he helped ship food to a cafeteria at a medical school. So as he was leaving from a job well done, someone motioned him to come back to the hallway, into the classroom, and into an empty desk. They had mistaken him for a lost student because of his white coat. He was now having his first medical class. Confused and lost, he follows the lead of a fellow classmate, Konisha. Again, I'm sorry if I am mispronouncing these names. They both went up to pick up a covered bag and surgical tools, metal trays, that kind of thing. Within that bag is surgical tools and neon green gloves. Now, he just needed to see the project. As he lifted the lid of the metal tray each student had been given, on it was a rat. But not just any rat, the one that he met on the train. Dead. But he knew what he had to do. This is when the story goes into a lot of kind of gross detail, like about how he cuts it and like lodging out the eyes and stuff. I'm just going to skip that, but basically by the end of it, he has skinned the rat, which as far as I'm aware, you do not need to do when practicing surgery. I don't know why he skinned the rat, but that's a major part of the story, so just keep that in mind. After class, Konisha promised him that she will see him tomorrow. He smiled back, agreed, and took the rat skin with him. I guess it's like in memorial of the rat, like it was the first friend he had, so like I'm just gonna keep a part of him with me. Which is, I understand the emotion attached to that. But also that just feels a little weird. I don't know, just slipping some rat skin into your pocket just doesn't feel right. Anyways, continuing. Okay, so this is, while reading the next section of the story, it's called Sanjeev Discovers YouTube, and I'm not really going to, describe this chapter very much. It's basically just, he walks, this girl to her apartment, and they're just, watching YouTube, and he also just starts to realize that he has a crush on her. Alright, that's all that chapter is. While on a walk around the unfamiliar city, he finds a building covered in old surat puppets. Again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm very sorry. But he finds an old building covered in surat puppets, like the kind that he used to perform with as a child. It was a puppet theater. He wanted to go inside, but realized that it was closed. All the doors were locked. Hear that carefully? Why did I write that? So, after hearing that this building is in fact locked and closed, what, ladies and gentlemen, and other configurations of human being, do you think that Sanjeev is going to do? Either A, leave and wait until they're opened. 2, leave and wait until they are opened. Or C, leave and wait until they are opened. You are wrong, because he, in fact, then, while searching for, other doors in, he finds a ladder up to the roof of the building and climbs on top of it, and then goes through I assume a broken vent or like an unlocked vent. He commits breaking and entering and just goes inside the building. And he basically just, he's now in the attic of this puppet theater type thing, and he makes a little home for himself, moving around the boxes that are filled with old doll parts, and just making a nice little place for himself. So now he has a new home, which is good, because, he doesn't have a home. The means of doing it are a little weird. I don't blame him, I guess. He has no money, no ID, but, I don't know. It was just kind of jarring to read. All right, let's continue. After finally making his new space comfortable, he wanted to make his friend Konisha a nice gift. The next day, he was excited to give her this gift. Handing her the little box, she opened it, and inside was an oddly shaped zipper pouch, covered in red fur. And were those eyes? He turned the rat skin into a coin purse, and she was understandably freaked out. Though a cool gift in my opinion, this of course is a jarring gift, especially when you've only known the person for 2 days, if that. It's unclear if he's been there for 1 or 2 days, but that's still a very short amount of time to do any of this. And it's not even enough time for what I assume wouldn't be long enough for a rat skin to dry out, which means she still just kind of has like a gross, like kind of wet skin bag. I don't know, it's just, I feel like that's gonna mold, and that's gonna be really gross. Or like, because it's not properly leathered yet, like because of the zipper he's sewn onto it, it's just gonna rip off. I don't know, there's a lot of factors here that just make it way worse than it already is. So this is her reaction. She screams and calls him a psychopath and runs away, which I don't know if that's like an over exaggeration. Like, I don't know if she's like overreacting or if that is just a normal reaction, because I don't know how I would react in that situation. But either way, for both of them, it's just incredibly awkward. it's just bad decisions all around. So Sanjeev is heartbroken. He runs out of the building. And in a fit of rage, he also just grabs like a fistful of like neon green gloves and other surgical tools, which is just like why? Like, of all the things to grab, I don't know. Anyways, so he runs home, up to the puppet theater, and he crawls inside the little attic, and he's like, I want to get out of here, like not just of the school or the puppet theater, but like I want to leave this country. I don't want to be in America anymore because of how embarrassed I am. Not America, sorry, Russia. He is so embarrassed that he needs to leave the country, all right? So, what's he gonna do? He needs to learn some English. All right, so Sanjeev needs to learn some English. So he waits for Puppet Shop to close. He then runs downstairs, grabs the store owner's laptop, and then he starts going to YouTube, like he learned from the girl, and watching some videos on how to learn English, pronunciations, all that kind of stuff. So, to help himself learn English, he then films himself pronouncing English words and then uploading them onto YouTube. Pronouncing things like it's pronouncing hockey player names and then NBA players and so on and so forth. Within a week, he realized he's created over 5,000 videos. Ooh. And then he comes to the realization that these videos were public and millions of people were watching them. And with the realization of millions of people watching and needing to span vocabulary and content, he started recording music. Remember when I brought that up? Oh yeah, that's coming back, baby. Sanjeev had grown up singing all over India as a child, so he felt like that was a given. His first song was a cover of What Makes You Beautiful in a cappella due to the lack of instruments in the attic. Go listen to that. It is, as Aaron Hansen once said, this is horrible, dude. Try it. It's so bad, but you need to listen to it. It's great. Soon compiling over 200 songs on platforms like Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Google Play of all places. It was also that almost broke into Billboard Top 100 charts multiple times. That's what it said. He said that he almost broke Billboard Top 100 charts multiple times, which, congrats if true. That is very impressive. But something tells me that is not in fact true. So, weird flex, but okay. With all that success, he finally decides to make his first big boy YouTube video with an actual camera, titled Chocolate Easter Bunny. At this point, Sanjeev has accumulated over 50,000 subscribers. It had only kept getting publicity when channels such as H3H3, Joey Graceffa, Wolfie, and more started covering him. One night, while watching videos on how to make money off of this, he made a huge discovery. In his AdSense account, weird that that's described. There's a lot of brand name drops while reading on his site. But anyways. In his AdSense account, he has made over $3.5 million waiting to be transferred into his bank account. But he could not obtain it because he had no passport, no birth certificate, no citizenship in Russia. And the only way he could get this million was through the Russian mafia. That's right, baby. Sanjeev is having a crossover with the Russian mafia. Let's see how that goes, shall we? After being kidnapped by burly Russian men and soon alone with the boss, described as having the face of a baby rhinoceros, prison teeth in gold not prison teeth, with prison tattoos and golden teeth. Did you hear that pop? Oh my god, okay. After the goon asks what Sanjeev wants, he responds a passport and bank account. Goon asks why he wants bank account, and he tells him that he has a large amount of money that he'd like to transfer. Goon asks how much, Sanjeev tells him, and then Goon demands half. After some negotiations, the deal is set, they get half, and in the limo back to his house, they hand Sanjeev a duffel bag of the other $500,000. But then disaster strikes. While the mafia boss starts shoving Sanjeev's new fake passport into his pocket, he cuts an artery because of all of the surgical tools in his pockets. So, now this mafia boss is bleeding out in his limo, Sanjeev right next to him, bag of money. And as soon as the limo stops, he runs, hoping, if I'm not there at the crime scene, they won't suspect a thing. Surely, running from the crime scene doesn't make me look guilty, does it? He just accidentally killed a mafia boss. RunForTheCube, of all people, just killed a mafia boss. Take a moment to absorb that. Got it? Alright, so let's continue. So, now that he has inadvertently, accidentally killed a mafia boss, he needs to leave Russia as soon as possible. So he grabs his fake passport, shoves it to whoever he needs to. He hops on a boat and heads to America, on course to Florida. The first thing he did in Florida was buy a red Lamborghini. Not a house, just a Lamborghini, which he does describe how much joy it brings him, which is good. I am very happy for him for that, but it just feels like a weird first purchase. Especially as a foreigner, surely you'd want a place to live. I don't assume Lamborghinis are that comfortable to sleep in, but anyways, I digress. Even though he enjoyed life in America, he had a bad feeling. He had an awful feeling that he was always being watched or followed. One day, while filming his Lamborghini review, he realized a couple of cars were tailing him. Perhaps the FBI or someone far worse. These worries began to show in his videos, and people in the comments started to point out how he sounded more nervous than usual in some videos, some even speculating that he was kidnapped or forced to make videos, which isn't the case, but instead it's just the fear of being watched, stalked, so on. But it was only confirmed in the worst way in a never-before uploaded vlog. Sanjeev loves to vlog and has made them all over the world, basically. But there has only ever been one that he has never uploaded, and that was the video in, again, sorry for pronouncing this wrong, Riga Latvia. Whatever. There. He was there. RIGALATVIA. There. Apparently a neighboring country to Russia. He would soon realize a severe lapse in judgment. While grocery shopping in a nearby market, a stranger walked up to him and spoke, "We are watching you." That was the breaking point. Sanjeev canceled all of his plans for the vlog and immediately left the country, going to the airport, flying to a coastal city to film his last video. Last video would be filming a music video covering a Avril Lavigne song, shooting at a beautiful yet gloomy beach, and Sanjeev attempted a dangerous stunt, falling into the water and being decapitated. And that was the alleged story of RunForTheCube. Was it real? Of course not. Of course it was not real. I was kind of hoping it was real. I'm really wishing it was real, because if it is, he is living a movie, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Probably a bad thing. Most likely a bad thing. It is a bad thing. But it is a very interesting story, and that is the lore of RunForTheCube. Now, my question is, why did he write all of this? What is the story? Why did he give himself this grand backstory? For that, I do not have an answer, and I'm not entirely sure how to conclude this video. But I did feel the need to do a deep dive on this channel, and I just needed to talk to someone about this, aside from the friend who introduced me to this. If you have not seen RunForTheCube, watch it. Please please do not give hate to this man. He really does just seem like he's enjoying what he does, like just filming these kinds of videos, and that's great. I always love to see just channels enjoying what they're making. But yeah, that was the weird lore of Run for the Cube. If you'd like me to do a part 2 of, I don't know, perhaps reacting to it, or if I'm like missing some other things, fun facts, other lore, that kind of stuff, let me know. Again, this is not at all a hate video to Run for the Cube. I love it. I love Run for the Cube. It is very interesting to me, and I honestly hate when I always hate to see people like leaving hate comments on his channel. So just leave some love for this guy, and I hope you guys find as much enjoyable weirdness in this as I do. Please be sure to like the video or subscribe. Let me know if you'd like me to cover any other weird YouTube channels. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.